So what's going on, guys? Welcome to Bumblebee Technology. And with the recent release of the iPhone 7, I feel that it's time for me to finally give you my impressions on an iPhone. As you've noticed, I haven't really posted a lot of content on iPhones and whatnot. But that's mainly due to the fact that I'm not an iPhone fan. I've really never liked iPhones. I've never particularly found them interesting, which is why I haven't really made a lot of content on them. But you know what? I feel that it's finally time for me to explain myself and finally give you my thoughts on Apple's latest product. So in this video, I'll be giving you my first impressions of Apple's new iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus. Let's get started.
Here we go.
So in my typical fashion, I'm going to start off with the design. And the design really disappointed me because it's virtually the same design as last year's iPhone 6 and 6S, And this is very disappointing to me because Apple clearly had the opportunity to make something special with the iPhone 7, but they decided to go with the lazy route and not choose to do anything or innovate with their designs. And that's something I really just don't like about Apple. At the fact that they don't change their design language. They find something that works and then they continue that for the next few years. Like, look at a company like Samsung. They had the Note 5 last year, a very successful design. But what did they do? They built upon the design and they innovated it with the Note 7. Because now you look at that. It looks completely different than the Note 5. And it looks a lot better and fans are a lot more, they can enjoy it more because it's something different, something new. And that's something I didn't really get from Apple. I thought that Apple took the lazy way out. And really the only notable changes they made with the iPhone was the new camera bump and the antenna design and adding a couple of new colors. So overall, I just feel that Apple went the lazy route in this scenario. I felt that they could have done something different, add front-facing speakers, surprise me, put something new in that nobody has ever seen before in an iPhone. And that's something I was really disappointed at by the design of the iPhone 7. Now moving on to software. Now software, as we all know, iPhones run iOS, Apple's mobile operating system. Now, personally, I haven't been a really big fan of iOS because I just felt that it was plain and boring. Now, I do, I do give Apple the credit for improving their software every year. And there's a lot of features I really like about the iPhone, about the operating system, but there's also features I really just don't like about it. First of all, I love the fact that iOS is very simple. This is something that iPhones really get a lot of credit for. The fact that they're simple and easy to use devices. You don't have to, look at different manuals and stuff to figure out how an iPhone works. And that's something a lot of Android phones need to start adopting. Simplicity is something that people care about when they're buying their smartphones. And that's what Apple does really well at. They do really, really well at making their devices easy to use. And also, I like the fact that the software looks very clean. I love Apple's way of design. I like how they make the operating system look visually appealing. Some of the animations, I love the transparency. I love some of the animations. Apple really makes the operating system look visually appealing. And I also like the fact that it just works. This is something that Android phones really just struggle at. They struggle at just working. Every feature needs to work. And that's what iPhones are really just good at that. They're good at doing everything that they're meant to do. Any application, any, game, any task, the iPhone does it because it's built to do it. And it just works. And that's something I really like about iOS. Now, those are the things I like about iOS. However, I do dislike the fact that iOS is still too plain and simple in my opinion. I feel that iOS hasn't really changed from when it was released back in 2007. And that's something that really disappoints me. And the fact that Apple has not really, changed iOS in so long. It's literally been the same operating system. Yeah, they've added new features such as adding widgets, screen gestures, adding different messaging features. But Android has been doing that for years. So the fact that Apple has not updated iOS, number one, it A, shows that Apple is very slow to innovate, and B, it shows that Apple's lazy. They haven't changed their software in so long, and that's something I was really disappointed at. I thought that iOS 10 should have been something bigger, something different. At this point, I still can't change the location of each individual app. I can't add widgets to my home screen. These are things that I can't do on iOS because Apple restricts me, but I can do on Android. So as an Android user, this is something that really puts me away from an iPhone, because I have all this flexibility and this control over my phone on Android, but I don't get that on iOS, because Apple doesn't give you that ability to do so. So now, eventually, what's going to happen is if I choose an iPhone, I'll just get bored, because I won't be able to do anything new with it. Nothing will be a change. I'll always be doing the same thing over and over again. And that's something that's really important to me. And that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of Android users prefer Android, because you have that flexibility, you have those options. And I feel that Apple had a golden opportunity to do something new, but they decided not to do it. Which is why, I just feel that I'm in the fence about the software. I like elements of the software, but at the same time, I really just don't think it's for me. I don't think Android users should switch to iOS, because, you're losing out more than you're gaining. And finally, the last things I'll do, I'll go over some of the features of the iPhone that really shocked me or really surprised me. Number one is the fact that Apple included a Force Touch home button. Now, this is something that was pretty under the radar. Nobody really expected Apple to include a Force Touch home button. So now the home button is not actually physically clickable. So now it's basically like a Force Touch. Now, Force Touch is something that Apple released back with the iPhone 6s, and it's basically a way to interact with the device by using different pressure sensitivities. And so now with the home button, you have that sort of feature. Now, personally, I just feel like it's a gimmick. I feel like it's something that people won't really care about, because it's basically a capacitive button that you can have different options to press and hold and whatnot. So overall, I just felt that feature was more of a gimmick rather than, something big, because Apple realized that the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 6s, there really isn't anything different to separate these devices. So they just threw something in there to make it different, make the devices different. And the second thing that really surprised me was the better cameras. Now, this is something that Apple has been really good at for the past few years, and I will give them credit for this. The fact that their camera technology has been top notch. The iPhones always have one of the best cameras on the market, and this year's no exception. So this year with the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, Apple really changed up the cameras. They improved the aperture to an f1.8 aperture, letting in more light into the shots, added a sixth lens into the camera, and they also added optical image stabilization to both devices. These are features that were much needed for the iPhone camera, because competition like Samsung and LG are getting a lot better at making their cameras, making their photography a lot better. So Apple really had to step their game up, and I'm glad they actually did, and I'm happy that they did. Along with that, the iPhone 7 Plus actually has a new dual camera that allows for better depth sensing and allows for better zooming when you're in a shot. So overall, Apple did a really good job on the camera department, and I'm impressed that they're still continuing to innovate in a positive route for that camera. And finally, the biggest new feature about the iPhone 7 is the removal of the headphone jack. Now, this was something that was talked about a while back, and this was something that was started by Motorola with the Moto Z. And personally, I feel that Apple really just went too soon on this whole get rid of the headphone jack, bandwagon, because now a lot of people are going to be frustrated on the transition, because the headphone jack has been around for so long. The people have gotten so used to carrying it. But now, without the headphone jack, you're going to be forced to either carry A, the lightning headphones, which means you're only reduced to only one kind of headphones, or B, you have to carry the adapter with you everywhere you go. And I don't know about you, I don't want to carry another wire with me everywhere I go. So which is why I like the idea of getting rid of the headphone jack and starting to use one port, but at the same time, I feel that Apple has really did it too soon, because transition between going from no headphone jack is going to be a lot more harder on people, rather than just waiting for other companies to do it and then to move along with them. So overall, I feel that this feature is a great feature. However, it was just pushed a little bit too soon. But there you have it. Those are my impressions of the iPhone 7. I feel that overall that it's a solid phone for people who are iPhone fans. But if let's say you're from an iPhone 6s or you're on another Android device, I feel that the iPhone 7 is not worth an upgrade, because it's just nothing new. It's not something that's very innovative than from Apple's perspective. And I really stand by my point that I mentioned earlier, that Apple was very, very lazy going into this year, and they really didn't do a lot to innovate when they had the best opportunity to do so. So there you have it. Those are my impressions on the iPhone 7. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of the iPhone 7? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave this episode a like if you want to see more iPhone or Apple content. You know, I wouldn't mind giving my opinion and thoughts on this subject. So just let me know if you want to see it. And yeah, subscribe to this channel for more content like this. And as always, guys, I'm Hani from Bumblebee Technology, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching.